Hello, and welcome to the Not Xeno Guide, sponsored by the Not Holding Corporation, the Discovery Division's guide to all things Tradiarch. If you're watching this, you are still the hypothetical aliens we have been searching for, and this video is still intended for you. This is the second episode, and we're happy to have you back. In this episode, we will cover the Not Holding Company, which is our largest and greatest corporation, and our employer, and the corporations that came together to form it. This information will be critical for your ability to be a good corporate citizen. Not Holding is a holding company that owns the 11 largest corporations in Not society. They are almost certainly who you dealt with when you met us, since almost all exploration craft are owned and operated by Holding's R&D department. Not Holding is structured into a hierarchy of organization, where different groups of individuals give orders to people below them and take orders from people higher than them. At the top of the hierarchy is the corporate board, who are the CEOs of the corporations that banded together to form Holding. Technically, the shareholders are above them, since they are the ones who own Holding, but they don't have much say in many decisions, so we won't count them. Under them is the CEO, who makes all executive decisions, and under them is the COO, who manages day-to-day operations and ensures the CEO's orders are followed. Under them is the Executive Council, a group of high-level executives who lead the different departments of Holding. The Executive Council is led by the CEO, with the COO and all heads of departments being on it too. Then there are the departments, each one specializing in one of the services Holding needs, such as military research and everything else a mega corporation needs. Within the departments are divisions, which are sub-departments that specialize in specific tasks, like the R&D department's Discovery Division. All of these leaders work together to maximize value for the shareholders. But now, let us investigate the corporations at the top of this hierarchy. Let's start with the company that started it all. Not Incorporated. Not Inc. started out as the public transport service of a government over 1,000 years ago. When that government fell, like they all did, their transport service reformed itself into a private company called Not Incorporated, making money by transporting people between the orbitals. They also developed a skilled PR team, since getting Tradiarchs to trust the former servants of a corrupt and now defunct government required quite a sales pitch. The company's logo is a yellow knot on a black background and can be seen on their various transport ships. Not Inc. was a pretty ordinary company until 2198, when our current CEO, Andromeda, negotiated the agreement to form Holding. It should be noted that, as part of the deal to form it, Not Incorporated had to agree not to have a seat on the corporate board, in exchange for their CEO to be the first CEO of Holding. Not Inc. is currently pushing for Holding to expand quickly, since all the transportation this requires benefits their company greatly. The largest Tradiarch defense contractor is Pinnacle Armaments. Their logo is their name in blue text, next to a red spiked ball on a white rectangle. Pinnacle started out creating personal firearms for civilians, but eventually began acquiring companies that made different kinds of weapons. From military ships to combat bodies, they now own a majority of the military hardware corporations. Technically, Pinnacle Arms is not a very large company, since they themselves only make one type of product. But because of their ownership of many other companies, they are actually one of the most powerful and profitable corporations. It should not surprise you to know that Pinnacle lobbies for increased military spending and hostile responses to alien life within Holding, and they generally sit on the more pessimistic side of the Xeno question, as in whether alien life is likely to be friendly or hostile. Titan Extraction manages nearly all raw resource extraction within Holding space. Their logo is a yellow T8E on a purple triangle. Titan's origins are unusual by Tradiarch standards. They began as a worker-owned mining company, extracting resources from asteroids in the Sun system. As they expanded their operations, they were able to convince other astro miners working for other companies to join them, due to the attractive nature of the worker ownership model. This resulted in Titan growing into a system-spanning corporation with few competitors. Although they abandoned their worker ownership model a while ago, they still have the largest and most powerful unions in the entire economy, mostly due to the dangerous nature of their work and their history. Titan's interest lies in expanding into new space due to the abundant resource extraction opportunities. Also, the workers' influence on their company means that they are also quite optimistic when it comes to aliens. The largest client of Titan is Quantum Manufacturing, the largest consumer goods and space-grade manufacturing corporation on the Sun habitat. Their logo is a rainbow wave function symbol on a light blue square. They began as Quantum Science, a technology company created to study the applications of quantum mechanics in various industries. While they made various discoveries of note, their insights into manufacturing had the most impact on their future. Due to the sheer quantity of applications they discovered for quantum mechanics in manufacturing, they decided to begin using these. Changing their name to quantum manufacturing, their advanced methods of assembly allowed them to create products of higher quality and quantity than their competition, and eventually bought them out. Everything from research equipment to spare Tradiarch parts come from them, and their high levels of automation mean their factories run 24/7. Their interests in the future of holding tend to be only scientific, with calls to increase funding in research and development and speed up the exploration of the stars a regular occurrence. Quantum manufacturing and nearly all other Tradiarchs obtain their electricity from Lumen Energy, the largest energy and fuel provider. Their logo is a yellow atom on a red diamond. Their start was rather humble, simply investing in and operating solar panels on the Sun habitat. This grew to them owning entire space stations in orbit of Sun for the purpose of using solar panels to collect and store electricity, selling it directly to the consumers on the Sun habitat and other orbitals. They also began to build and operate commercial and industrial scale nuclear fission, later fusion reactors, and sell the fuel for them to the ships that use them as a power source. Their business has been repeatedly criticized for being a money printer, and for the perception that their executives don't really do anything, since energy is such a necessary commodity for Tradiarchs that their business model works under any conditions. As such, they rarely express opinions or have goals for holding, but they do benefit from more suns to build solar panels around and more sources of fuel for their reactors, so they are generally pro-expansion. As a company dependent on Lumen Energy, Star Utilities shares many similarities. Their logo is a white star on a blue hexagon. They were set up as a non-profit organization that managed the maintenance and repair of the Sun habitat's infrastructure, which wasn't very difficult back when the Tradiarchs numbered in the hundreds. Eventually, after the Tradiarchs multiplied and spread out over multiple orbitals, the duties of Star became so intensive that they had to begin paying for extra workers and materials, which required charging people for their services. Seeing an opportunity for profit, a number of private investors gave a large amount of credits to the Tradiarchs who ran the organization to hand over leadership to them. These investors, informally known as the Bastards, reorganized Star into Star Utilities, a for-profit utility company. They began offering more services, such as internet and atmosphere regulation for those who wanted such things, but they also billed almost everyone for these services, and cut off these essential utilities for anyone who refused to pay. Since Star secures the utility contracts for new space stations, it favors increased expansion. Similar to Star Utilities, TerraWorks is a business heavily dependent on Tradiarch expansion. Their logo is their name in red on a brown rectangle. Early on in Tradiarch history, businesses who built and repaired various buildings on the Sun habitat were needed. When the Tradiarchs set their sights on the various orbitals in the Sun system, however, few had the expertise and confidence to take on off-habitat construction contracts. One of the few that did was Terra Engineering, an ambitious construction company founded by a group of like-minded engineers, architects, and construction workers. While they started with simple standard buildings, they soon started building stations in orbit of the various planetary bodies for their clients. As it turns out, space contracts were far more lucrative than ones on habitats, and so Terra Engineering began to dominate the construction industry. After a series of acquisitions and mergers, the company was renamed to TerraWorks and became the industrial giant we know them as now. Like all of the corporations we've described before, their economic interest makes them in favor of expansion. If you're less interested in manual labor, you might want to take a look at Ecliptic Financial. Their logo is a white lightning bolt on a black sphere. While the Tradiarchs used non-sapient artificial intelligence for various jobs from early on in their history, the financial sector was one place where their use lagged behind the rest. Many firms and banks feared the risks of relying on AIs. Failure to make fast, accurate decisions meant falling behind in the ruthless Tradiarch financial market. A small firm called Ecliptic Financial was the first to fully utilize this technology, and to the surprise of their competition, it worked out well for them. Now things like credit offerings, investment allocations, and insurance rates could be calculated at the speed of an even faster computer, resulting in year-over-year increases in profits compared to those who chose to do these tasks by hand. While their competitors tried to catch up, Ecliptic had an essential head start, and buyouts galore ended with them owning almost all the competition. Ecliptic Financial is the first of a small group on the corporate board that has reservations about expansion, seeing it as a potential financial burden to holding. However, they fully support the idea of untapped alien markets. One of the businesses that only really exists in Treyarch society, at least on a large scale, is MechaCare. Their logo is a white plus on a light blue square. Before large-scale privatization, repairs on Treyarch bodies were done by the Replicators Union as part of their charitable mission. However, back then, there was much internal debate about whether or not the Replicators should start charging for their services, as was common practice in the era of privatization. While they, as a whole, agreed to stay as a charity and not charge anyone, a group of disgruntled repair units felt they should be paid for this essential service. They broke away, taking the majority of the replicators dedicated to repair, and started a business repairing and modifying Treyarchs for a price. As the closest thing to healthcare that Treyarchs have, they also began offering personal repair insurance to their customers, much to the chagrin of Ecliptic Financial. MechaCare is fairly neutral on expansion, as its income will grow with the population regardless of holdings expansion. It is often seen as the only neutral corporation on the board. The most recent of all the corporations on the corporate board is Delphi Media. Their logo is Delphi in purple text on a green background. For a long time, entertainment was one of the few industries that resisted monopolization. However, in 2169, a popular online content creator named Delphi began to acquire the rights to content from other creators, and began to invest into other types of media, such as news sites and holo movies. This ended with Delphi's media corporation, named Delphi Media, owning or creating all of the largest and most profitable entertainment. From news to VR experiences, if a Treyarch is watching something in their off time, chances are it came from Delphi. Since exploration and potential alien contact would be good content for them, Delphi is usually considered to be the most pro-exploration and pro-Xeno corporation on the board. Finally, let's examine one of the most influential corporations, Voidwatch. Their logo is an orange eye on a black shield. While they started out as a simple private security company, their services quickly grew to make them the most trusted private police force. Voidwatch is split into 3 different departments: sales, ethics, and operations. Sales deals with customers, negotiating contracts, and dealing with the credits. Ethics analyzes each potential contract, ensuring that enforcing them won't be unethical, using ethicists, PR specialists, and corporate law experts. Operations actually execute the contracts they're given, with 2 distinct divisions to deal with the 2 different types of contracts. Shield for protection contracts, where Voidwatch operatives protect people or property, and Sword for detention contracts, where they go after and detain individuals who have committed unethical actions, or what status societies might call illegal actions. Voidwatch don't get much out of expansion, and are more concerned with the potential economic burdens, so they are anti-expansion. And that's all the members of the corporate board. Now you know all about the most powerful businesses in Treyarch society. It should be noted, dear viewer, that there are businesses and corporations not affiliated with not holding. It's just that these are usually either hyper-specific in their goal, or what we might call small businesses. Generally speaking, everything else is directly or indirectly owned by a member of the corporate board. But if you're wondering what these credits we've mentioned several times are, and how they function as currency, then stay tuned. In the next part, which will still be sponsored by the Not Holding Corporation, you'll find out how currency works in our corporate society and economy, which, hopefully, will be more enjoyable than it sounds. From all of us in the Discovery Division, we hope we'll see you there.